Love is a genuine curiosity towards all of this. I think he has another video that we need to catch up on.
Palantir kills people?
We need to catch up with you too, Rob. One at a time, okay? Let's just do one at a time.
So the future of OpenAI's hardware division is building this.
Let's see what happened this week as the most disturbing week in AI.
The Neo humanoid robot can now teach itself new skills using AI-based models.
We're very excited about these world models where finally we see robotic scaling following the same scaling laws as, for example, video pre-training from the big video models like Sora or Veo from our competitors.
But first, if you want to support this
All right, that's okay, but this is the exact model that they said that was going to be controlled by a remote person with VR headset. So with a grain of salt.
channel, head on over to patreon.com/Dylan Curious. Also, we're coming up here soon on 30,000 subscribers, so if you're not already subscribed, hit that button. All right, first up, let's talk about the humanoid robot Neo. The company 1X Technology has introduced a major AI upgrade to its humanoid Neo robot, and its brains now have a world model in it. It is the 1X world model that it is running on, and it lets the robot learn new physical tasks by watching and understanding videos.
Our world model is pre-trained on web-scale video data that captures human interaction, and then post-trained on robot data to ground that understanding in real-world physics and Neo's humanoid embodiment.
So the system predicts future actions visually, then executes them through precise robotic movements, enabling Neo to generalize skills like opening doors, ironing clothes, and video are all from video learning. This new model lets Neo collect its own interaction data over time, creating a self-reinforcing loop that could accelerate the ability to learn continuously on itself. So yeah, for everyday people, that means we might see more humanoid robots helping around the home or workplace before you would ever imagine on like other timelines. Labor, caregiving, daily chores, I could see all of that stuff being, for the most part, revolutionized in the next 10 years. Cyphron points out.
But he did this specific model. We've seen it with the VR headset. I'm looking it up. In-home helper robot Neo uses remote VR operators to help with chores. So that's the one, guys. That is the exact same one. I don't know. Does it really matter?
That there's a simple strategy to win in the game of life. Just need this one tip from Game Theory: outsmart 99% of people. Of course, who doesn't want one simple tip to win at life? Let's go to Game Theory. It has a tip here: a simple strategy to outsmart 99% of people. A little bit of a clickbaity title here by Cyphron, but interesting article. Because this piece argues that what we call reality isn't a fixed, objective world that we're trapped inside, but a kind of game shaped by consciousness itself. So if you draw from some ancient ideas like some of the Mayan thoughts about what life was about, modern cognitive science, and quantum physics, and group them all together, he suggests, comes to the conclusion, or puts the pieces together in a way that makes you really feel like our senses are not showing us the truth. They show us some sort of simplified interface that's designed for survival. This resonates with me. I feel like when I wake up, what I'm doing is seeing a world that was very much shaped by my ancestors, and we don't really experience reality. Like, we really don't. I mean, we do, but our senses since the beginning of time have been honed in a way where we're not seeing all of it fully. We can't. We'd be overwhelmed. Our brains just couldn't do it. We experience
I mean, just the light spectrum, we only see a fraction of it.
Experience a filtered version that's assembled by the brain. And if you take that perspective, matter isn't in this where I'm telling you what he's saying. Matter is not the fundamental foundation of existence, consciousness is. Reality as we know it emerges from awareness, and observation plays an active role in shaping what becomes real. And the takeaway is that most people feel powerless because they identify with the avatar in the game rather than the awareness behind it. So just switch that thinking,
I
and you
mean,
don't have to be powerless anymore. You can now be
that's interesting, but you didn't conscience this into existence, you know?
powerful. Like if reality is totally filtered out and shaped by perception, then changing how you think and imagine isn't just self-help. It's literally changing your whole existence, like your whole sense of self. Maybe even you could argue that emotion really dictates who you are. What you put your attention on truly is who you are. Your beliefs, your
I think perception has a lot to do with that. Because you could have a situation happen to two different people and they would have a different perception of it.
assumptions, your imagination, that's actually reshaping your true selves. Drop your thoughts in the comments on that one. I'd be curious what you think about that.
It's
Is
a
it kind of extreme, but it's
funky,
also kind of powerful,
yeah.
and I kind of vibe with it. All right, do it before I scare you, because the scariest alien scenarios that might actually be real is the next topic here. Adrian Adams put this together, plausible explanations for a silent universe. All right, so you got to admit it's really weird that there's not any aliens out there. I mean, I know space is big, but it doesn't just feel
Just last week, we had a news that said that we received a burst signal from outer space. So I don't know. I'm very curious as what she's going to present here.
intuitive to me to think we emerged by ourselves and this isn't happening anywhere else, right? Like you see life in one part of Earth, you realize that it's pretty much everywhere. So why not past Earth? Why only on Earth? Nowhere else? No Dyson spheres out there, no messages, no nothing? Well, today we're going to talk about the truly frightening possibilities that are uncomfortably plausible, the kind of civilizations that don't need to invade, announce themselves, or even care we notice them at all. Now, as humans, we could clearly imagine how you would build a zoo for a monkey and you'd put one-way glass all around it, and the monkeys might never know that there are people that close. I can't assume that we're so smart that even with the technology we have, that aliens couldn't be so much smarter that they've just countered all of those things. So the first plausible scenario is called the Silent Watchers. So this would be civilizations that are so old, they're so stable that interference is considered contamination. They monitor developing species the way ecologists monitor wildlife, from a distance and without sentiment. Radio signals are baby noises, nuclear weapons are stress behaviors, art, religion, and war are just data points. And they don't warn us about anything we're going to do because warnings would bias the results. They're just studying us. Another
All right, so this is a web article. So this is very dumbed down, but these ideas are very interesting to explore each of them on their own.
Other one could be the philosophical exterminator. These aren't aliens, they're worse. They're philosophical exterminators that operate on a moral framework so alien that it feels monstrous to us, but of course, perfectly ethical to them. They simply believe that the universe is better off without any civilizations like ours continuing past a certain point, so there's no negotiation, because in their view, they're saving more lives than they're ending by ending our lives. They would argue it's for the greater good. I don't know, scary still. Number 3, the resource harvesters. There's no grand war, no dramatic invasion. Resource harvesters just treat planets the way we treat asteroids or forests, as resources of useful material. And when those harvesters arrive, it won't be in ships hovering over cities, it'll just be automated systems, self-replicating.
I mean, and this is why this is too dumbed down for these ideas because they need to be respected for their grandiose impact, Because here, you know, you could have harvesters of resources in the planet, or harvesters of us, you know. So honestly, did this article, this like top 5 of whatever, how many she did, is just grazing the surface.
Machines and processes that we don't recognize, and they don't recognize our borders, ecosystems, or species. We won't be attacked, we'll just be processed out of existence. The digital ghosts, this one's probably what I thought was the most interesting. We're no longer talking about biological aliens. At some point they upload themselves partially or entirely into durable distributed substrates. To me, this kind of makes more sense. I feel like if I just keep imagining the future, 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, millions of years, we just become biological, and then we become like upgraded to robots, and then we kind of Neuralink into some cyborg thing, and then eventually I can just make computronium and then run all these agents or consciousness on them, and maybe that kind of computronium or whatever that compute substrate looks like might be quantum in nature or something undescribable right now. And then it is out there, and all the aliens are just on it, and we just don't see it yet. But yeah, back to the article, he says if they encounter us, they might not communicate directly. Instead, they might just interact with our technology or observe our networks, seed subtle changes in our digital infrastructure. We wouldn't even know. And the last one, number 5, the evolutionary farmers. In this scenario, they don't want to invade us at all. They just want to cultivate us. These are long-term planners who treat intelligent life the way humans treat crops, livestock, or lab cultures, where something to be guided, stressed, pruned, and selectively advanced over time, basically optimized. So maybe instead of waiting, the aliens are around us, they're evolutionary farmers intervening just enough to steer our outcomes in the way that they want. They'd be
This is all very human ideas. What do you do? And wouldn't we know that there's like one doing that, one species doing that? What if it's a absolutely different life form based of silicon instead of carbon, or you know, things that are so foreign to us, so different? This is what is interesting about that, is that people don't understand that unimaginable means that you can't imagine. I think it would be so different from us, so foreign, that it would be unimaginable.
focused, introduce stressors at key moments, removing populations that diverge too far from a desired path, and then nudging technological breakthroughs forward or delaying them to achieve their goal. Actually, you know what would be a cool thing to comment? Which one of these resonates the most with you? Do you like 1, the silent watcher, 2, the philosophical exterminators, 3, the resource harvesters, 4, the digital ghosts, or 5, the evolutionary farmers? Adrian Berdin has some thoughts about why time doesn't really flow. It's just that our brain makes us feel like it's flowing. All right, keeping it super abstract for this video, let's talk about why time doesn't really flow forward in any way, even though it feels like it does, or it might not. So in this piece, philosopher Adrian Bardin argues that the way that we talk and think about time as something that flows or passes comes from a human psychology more than it does from physics. So if you think about everyday language like, you know, time flies or as time goes on, this implies that time moves forward like a river, but the idea collapses under scrutiny. Unlike water, time doesn't have motion or a location. Modern physics, especially Einstein's relativity, show that there's no single universal now that we can call the past, present, or future. That all depends on the observer's framework. If we're in a different
Isn't it why time and space are inextricably linked together?
Frame of reference, we literally have past, present, and future differently. We sense it differently, and that shows up in a big way when we become far enough apart from one another. So the sense that time flows isn't something happening out there in the universe, but rather it's a feature of how our brains represent experience and organize events into narratives. So yeah.
I mean, that's a whole bunch of fancy schmancy. But what about all those other things that exist and deprecate after time? You know, Adrian Barden, this is a nice article, but there's a lot of philosopher who had a lot of free time, and a lot of people thought about a lot of things, and they thought about time. There are multiple indicators of time passings that you could see. There are slow ones, there are faster ones. There are some times that are linear and sometimes that are cyclical. It is relative, but to say that it doesn't exist and it's just a construct of your interpretations, that doesn't make sense. You can't have time without space, and you can't have space without time. You need both in relation to one another to express and to be in accordance. No, you're just talking about time on its own, man. People already went through and over that. It's called space time. Shit, let's meet at 12. Let's meet at the restaurant. Let's meet at 12 at the restaurant. It's pretty straightforward, guys.
Our minds basically project familiar structures onto an underlining reality that doesn't inherently include a dynamic passage of time at all. So it's not there. Time is not a fundamental feature of reality, but a construction of human cognition. So you're just imagining time. It's not a thing. Just stop imagining it, you know?
Yep. So because of your imagination, plants over time they wither and die, people wither and die, things wither and die. Nothing to do with time. Did you know that you can put food inside of your microwave oven and just stop thinking about the time and it's gonna be ready? Be hungry for a snack and shove something inside of a microwave and tell me time doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you, time exists so much and it's so long and it's so slow and you can feel it and you can almost touch it when you are starving and you can just see the fucking 59, 58, 57. And time is also a very specific metric. It is tangible.
Boom. Problem solved. All right. Next, let's talk about this clever hack. It's a way to give AI infinite memory. Corey Knowles wrote this, and we should talk about recursive language models. So you can think of a recursive language model like giving AI a library instead of trying to stuff an entire encyclopedia into its head. So normally AI can only, quote, remember a limited number of pages at once. Your context window, it starts to run out. It starts to kind of forget things that are too far away. So when the text gets too long and it starts forgetting things, RLMs solve this by letting AI walk through the library on its own, opening books, flipping to chapters, skimming pages, and zooming in only where the answers actually are. Okay, so You would think a RAG system kind of does something like that, right? Like retrieval augmented generation. So it's kind of thinking to itself, oh, I've got this database of facts. But this is a library that it's created and learned in the same way that it learned the other things. So it's more quick to the surface, but it still allows the LLM, or in this case, sorry, the RLM, the recursive language model, to break huge problems into smaller ones, asking itself questions along the way to sort of guide it down the, quote, hallways of this metaphorical library. And then it combines those answers into a final response. So the interesting thing here is that it's not about giving the AI a bigger brain. It's not more parameters. It's not more compute. It's about giving it better habits. You know what I mean? Like, just like humans don't memorize entire books, but we learn how to search, to skim, revisit information. It's navigational knowledge added on top of actual knowledge. So you don't have to hoard everything. You don't have to memorize everything, but you know how to now navigate. It's very human-like. And so far, it's showing that it can realistically handle massive problems. It's really interesting.
What
Long
type of
contracts,
model?
years of emails, medical
What type of
records,
problem?
complex projects without getting confused and overwhelmed. So this could be one of those solutions to more long-term planning. It's just a lot of people don't seem to know about it. So yeah, keep your eye out for recursive language.
Well, anyways, just to say that these are just tricks to try to mimic human-like behavior. But still all based on the same 2017 concept. So, no intelligence here. I rest my
Models
case.
can be in the know at your next AI party. Like, oh, you guys don't know about recursive language models? Yeah. They're a big thing right now. Surprised you haven't heard of them. Probably not keeping up with Dylan Curious. All right, next up, let's talk about some research that has
Nice.
a confusing name, but it really shouldn't be. Adversarial disentanglement or backpropagation, yada yada. It's easier to understand as just one brain that knows the real world physics, and then another brain that has experiences and doesn't override the physics. Like we humans, we just know intuitively how gravity works. We don't just need to like keep reminding ourselves how it works or reimagining how it works or relabeling it. It's physics and it stays stable and we build around it. AI models don't really have that. That's what they're trying to do. So think of this research like teaching a student to solve a problem using both a textbook and real world experience. The textbook is the known physics of the world, the rules that we already trust. And the experience is the messy data from the real world that we're kind of learning and playing with. So the model they built learns to keep those two sources separate in its own mind. It's a mind with two parts. A built-in reference that constantly checks the experience side is not cheating, it's not rewriting, it's not changing what should be physics, the clean, understandable knowledge. But yeah, the thing that's kind of interesting about this and why it's a little more unique than you think, the AI data that it was trained on was about learning to respect boundaries. It's about taking all this stuff that's in your brain. We have these facts, and some of them are imaginary, some of them are fiction, some of them are nonfiction, some of them are fact. And we kind of know positionally, if you say something like an elephant, I like know that they actually exist. But you say a unicorn, I know it's a fictional thing. And it can be treated more whimsical. It doesn't have to actually like follow the rules of the planet. But I know if you're talking about an actual elephant, it will be. But I actually had to learn which one's fake and which one's real. So that's what they've taught it. That's not just emerging from knowledge like it is in ChatGPT or Gemini. That's an actual learned thing. So yeah, just really pretty interesting work. And I think that's going to matter in the future because there's so many systems, bridges, power grids, weather forecasts, medical devices, all of those things that we really can't afford a creative answer that breaks reality. We still want an AI that's flexible, but not reckless. All right, next paper.
But for all these things, why do you need AI? There's no need to shove AI in every single thing everywhere. It's just gonna cause like more points of potential
Here, we're gonna
failures.
just call it seeing in the dark without memory because I feel like that's the point of what's going on here. So think of this research like teaching a computer to see in the dark by memory. Like imagine hearing footprints upstairs and then you imagine the person that's walking and making them. So they're actually working with satellite data, but that's just a little metaphor for you. So during the day, satellites can take these clear, visible light photos of Earth. But at night, they're basically blind and they have to rely on heat signals instead to figure out the shape of things, where people are moving. But of course, these two correlate. It's just day and night, but the same buildings and the same patterns to a large degree are underneath the darkness. So the researchers trained an AI on years of paired daytime images with those same nighttime images based on location and what the Earth looks like and what it felt like in infrared. So the system learned the relationship between the two. So now the AI can actually look at nighttime heat data and it can make an educated guess as to about what's going on if it was looking at it through a visible light image in the afternoon. Now that's pretty interesting to me. That's like how we work, right? Like if you're in the dark and you
But isn't that like still just machine learning?
see like an outline, you kind of imagine the full person walking or the shape that you're kind of like seeing a hint of at night. So yeah, in this way, I would say the AI is learning to sort of imagine daytime when it's looking at nighttime photos and make these educated guesses about what visible images would look like. And that seems like a game changer. I mean, think about that. An AI that doesn't actually need light to understand what's happening in the light. It's just inferring what's there. Seems like a big deal to me. UFO whistleblowers claim Earth is a cosmic farm where aliens harvest human misery. Written by Kristnell Longino. This
Well, this is a direct answer to the lady's hypothesis.
is From Out of Body Journeys to Republican Conspiracies, the idea of loosh energy
Bro, that's a reptilian. Pretty funny that you called Republicans reptilians.
has evolved into modern UFO myth. So the concept of human energy sources began with this guy, Robert Monroe. He's a pioneer in research in out-of-body experiences. In his 1985 book, he describes a vision in which non-physical beings revealed that Earth is a kind of garden producing an energy he called loosh. This energy essentially is a form of universal love or emotion, vitality, and it was created naturally by living beings and used by higher entities to fuel growth and evolution. Okay, so like a little bit of a matrixy thing there. So now that you understand loosh energy, there's a recent article, UFO whistleblowers are circulating an unusual theory that Earth isn't just a planet, but it's actually a cosmic farm where higher beings feed off human emotional energy, especially fear, suffering, and misery. This idea traces back to the 1980s writings of Robert Monroe, and over time, the conspiracy community has sort of repackaged his more neutral concept into a darker narrative. Now, loosh is kind of closer to something that is suggesting that extraterrestrials or non living entities are harvesting negative human emotion for their own beliefs. And then there's a bunch of figures on, YouTube, TikTok, some of those places that have been amplifying these claims alongside other fringe beliefs like reptilian overlords. And then today, some whistleblowers are linking this mythology to UFO sightings and alien encounters, claiming that these alien beings focus less on physical resources and more on human emotional states. Of course, there's no empirical evidence supporting these sensations, but folklore, speculation, and to be honest,
That's pretty interesting. There's another one about the illusion, what it means, and who's encouraging the loosh harvest.
kind of feels right. It's also an example of how modern mythology is just evolving so fast on the internet. Imagine just prompting an LLM to like make a really factual document about loosh energy or whatever it's called. Yeah, loosh energy.
Oh yeah, the other one. God damn, this one fucked me up so bad. The white light at the end of the tunnel. I don't remember if that's the one that is connected to the loosh, but bro, check it out. The white light at the end of the tunnel, what it means.
Energy and why it's real and make it very scientific. And then I'll post it on my blog. Dude, so many people would buy that. Monkeys are on the loose and
Well, people used to buy uh, like not April Fool's pranks, but you know, those crazy ass pranks in the internet. There used to be forums, and people would believe what the same as now. Honestly, things haven't changed all that much, to be honest.
St. Louis, AI is complicating efforts to capture them. Actually, less strange than the last article, surprisingly. So, St. Louis, several vervet monkeys, medium-sized primates not native to the area, were reported roaming around randomly in the city. So that prompted health and animal control officials to respond. It's not exactly clear how many monkeys there are, who owns them, how they got loose. But they do seem to be out there. But unfortunately, there's a bunch of AI generated photos of people saying they're seeing them and they're fake. Now, the whole thing is not fake. There actually are monkeys that have been roaming, and some of the photos are real. It's just hard for people to know which ones are which. And
Oh
of course,
boy.
keeping non-human primates as pets is illegal in the city. So some residents are sharing sightings, others are getting confused by the AI generated ones.
Yeah,
And so
multiple
far, it's been
sightings.
hard
That's
for animal
crazy.
control to verify real sightings and go find and capture the animals. So animal control is working with primate experts from the St. Louis Zoo to figure out which ones are real, which ones are fake, and urging people, if they do see the real ones, do not approach the monkey. Take a photo from a distance and report the sighting instead. Should I just add the monkey to the background behind me over there on the bed? That'd be crazy. All right, and have you ever wondered if 1 equaling 1 is the ultimate answer to the entire universe and why space-time exists? I never have until today, but Dan clearly wrote this is the
What's his name? Lawrence? Yeah, boy. I forget his name. He was on Joe Rogan.
universe simply so that 1 can equal 1. It's got an interesting philosophical argument to it. The logic of the universe is 1 equals 1. This simple fact that's so clearly obvious that it's never even been considered anything but an immutable fact might just be the basis of all of the universe's rules. Imagine any world where 1 does not equal 1. Pure chaos. Just a jumbled mix of all patterns with no definitions, no nothing. How could anything evolve in it? How could life ever notice any patterns in it? The whole concept of a pattern wouldn't even exist. So he's arguing that you can think about the universe a little bit more like a rule-bound board game. The article argues that before anything else can exist, before stars, before atoms, time, any of that stuff, the most basic rule had to hold. 1 thing has to actually be itself. If 1 could randomly equal something else, the whole game collapses. No turns, no pieces, no board. So the universe in this view exists because reality must follow 1 core rule. 1 equals 1. 1 thing has to actually be itself. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of resonating. I'm kind of vibing with it. Things have to remain the way they are, okay? And I know it's like so obvious, like you wouldn't even think about it, but maybe that's why it's the place to start. It's the water that the fish don't know they're swimming in. All of the laws of physics are just the rule book making sure that the game doesn't fall apart. Gravity, time, and math act as guardrails. And then the piece goes on in an attempt to connect mathematics and physical reality to the claim that the universe isn't just described by math, but it exists to preserve the logical truth that 1 equals 1 means. And while mainstream physics typically treats fundamental constants and the universe's structure as contingent or emergent, Clearly's idea echoes a broader philosophical trend that reality could be a mathematical structure at its core. It's a notion similar to the mathematical universe hypothesis, which proposes that the universe is a mathematical object rather than merely described by math. I know, it's wild, but I haven't ruled it out. To be honest, it could be. It's weird that everything that feels physical could be math, but like maybe. This kind of thinking resonates because many people wonder why the laws of physics are so precise and why mathematics works so well in describing our universe, a topic that ties deep logic with everyday questions about existence and order in nature. If you enjoyed this video, hit the hype button. It is a YouTube
That's
button that shows up
interesting.
only on the mobile app if you swipe left on the comments. If the video was published in the last 7 days and you haven't already used your 3 hypes for the week. But if so, press the hype button. That would make a big difference. a comment, share it, or whatever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.
That was pretty cool.